and how are no policies neutral? And I was trying to figure out if, as an Indigenous person in a globalized world, if there is a place where I get to belong. And so I just started to kind of grapple with that through writing. And for me, the very first form of that was like just a 20-minute piece that truly was not meant to be seen by anybody. It was for like it was like immediate family and closest of friends. In that draft, it was like a confession. It ended with me. The structure of my solo show has to do with a transformation journey in which is related to my Mohegan name, Chokais, which is a blackbird. And there's a transformation journey of becoming a bird, but that very early version, I never came back down from the sky. And so it was really me trying to process what it meant to, when I came back this time, not feel rooted the way that I always had to my homeland, but feel like everywhere I went, I had this different perspective that I had to make sense out of through my culture and try and find a way to understand. And when I wrote it, hope it's not freezing too much. Okay. When I wrote that first draft, well, one, actually, originally what happened was my mother saw like a thing of it online and was like, what is this? Should I come to it? And I said, I don't know. I haven't written it yet. And because I knew I like had to get something out, but I hadn't actually processed it. She goes, well, it says you buy tickets. And so I was like, I mean, I really don't know. I had this habit at the time that no matter what it was I was doing, I would make sure there was an event so that the thing had to come out in some way, which I do not recommend as necessarily a healthy practice. But for me in my 20s, that was how I thrived. And at that event, what ended up happening was the people who were there were all so deeply moved by it that then it started to sort of carry on its own life internationally, actually. And then it came to this country, just because I think the depth with which I was asking questions that were of such extreme importance to me forced other folks to sort of think in a similar way. But for me, it was very much just about grappling with questions. It wasn't like I had no desire to perform it. I got stomach ulcers the first time I performed it, like in the UK, right? Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, what a great idea to share all my personal things in public with a lot of people. I was like, oh, that's terrifying. Now I understand its merit, but at the time, like I was a different person, I think, in a lot of ways than I am now. I think that it strengthened me in a lot of ways, having to do that over and over again in community and understand why we have to tell stories in that way. But for me, generating it was very much a process of sitting with questions, sitting with stories in my own life, sitting with who in my own life I would need to take with me in order to answer those questions, to grapple with those questions, what ancestors had similar journeys. And really for me, honestly, because a lot of it came out of me dropping out of my PhD, a lot of it was sort of the process of creating the work artistically that I couldn't do academically with my actual doctorate. Realizing that actually the things that I needed to say and the things that I needed to talk about, I had the tools